May Day bank holiday Monday. It's Worcester versus Southampton Aztecs to kick us off in the women's Tier 1. This is the last game of the regular season for both teams, and for Worcester, plenty on it. For Southampton, they know they're going into the relegation playoffs, but they need to be in tip-top form for that to earn their Tier 1 place for next year. Only 2 subs on the bench for Will Wilson to call upon, which means Rebecca Moody, Katie Tonks, Rebecca Tonks and Davina Aloa-Lolo will be expected to play plenty of minutes. They're captained by the American keeper, Lauren Sayler. For Worcester, a must-win game, and that may still not be enough for captain Jade Grove and co. Win this and hope they better Bolton's results. That's the plan for Luciana Silva and her girls. Rebecca Panniers is in goal. Holly Rogers, Jade Grove, Kerry Walker and Amy Wathen is a very, very strong starting 4, and they've got plenty of talent on the bench as well. Jess Hood has impressed when she's got minutes. So too Sammy Hallsworth, who had a really good performance against Helvetia last time out for Worcester. Almost ready to go then, both teams heading on to court. Like to be joined on commentary for this one by New Zealand international Braden Lissington. Braden, lovely to have you with us. Really, really excited to get going. And yeah, I know you've been in and around the women's Tier 1 so far this season. What have you made to proceedings so far? It's been good fun, hasn't it?
Yeah, g'day, mate. Hey, yeah, I was down at Hartbury a couple of weeks ago, and that was my first experience, and really enjoyed what I saw, and looking forward to seeing more of it today. Obviously, first up with Worcester and Southampton.
Yeah, Worcester based at that Hartbury Centre, a brilliant place to base yourself, and they'll be automatically heading into this game with their tails up a little bit, having seen their men's team yesterday earn survival in Tier 1 themselves for next season. A massive, massive step for the Worcester men's team. And having been down there myself on a couple of their training nights, very much a one-club mentality. The girls and the boys will be cheering each other on all the way through. First touch of the ball for Kerry Walklett. A really dynamic wing. If Worcester can get her involved, it will be a problem for Southampton.
Yeah, Walklett was a player that stood out for me in that first weekend that I got to witness. And like you said in the prelude, a strong starting lineup for Worcester. They've got some really direct players that know how to find the back of the net. So it'd be interesting to see how Southampton sort of try to nullify that the attack early on here in the first half.
There's Rebecca Moody. You can find Becca Tonks. The 2 Tonks sisters link up really, really well for the Aztecs. They have done all season long. And it looks like only a very slight change in system for the Aztecs. We usually see Becca Tonks play in that pivot position up top. And it looks like she's going to play a slightly deeper role, maybe to combat the very physical Jade Grove, who does this a lot. Very, very good at pinning her defender, rolling and getting a shot off. She is Worcester's top scorer on the season with 13 goals from her 10 appearances. You see Paul McHugh, chairman for the Worcester club, and a real champion for this women's team as well. Players can gather that one comfortably. One thing Worcester will want to do in this game is really impress their game upon Southampton. I heard it said from a few coaches this season that what Southampton do really well is they almost drag you down into the trenches and make you play their style of futsal, which isn't always conducive to what the Worcester coach Luciana Silva would want today, for example. But it is a challenge, and she'll be hoping Worcester can play their stuff and impose themselves on this game.
Yeah, really interesting to see how both teams have started. It's always interesting the first sort of 5 minutes as the two teams feel each other out and try to settle into the match. From what we've seen so far, Worcester really getting into the work, pushing Southampton back, and like you say, Southampton settling into their style, which is to defend a little deeper and try to absorb a bunch of that pressure and then try to hit Worcester on the counter. So although Southampton here are enjoying a bit of possession as they just lose the ball a bit higher up the court.
Yeah, we saw Worcester a few weeks ago, back end of April on BT Sport, and they were playing London Helvetia. That game ended 9-1, but that really doesn't begin to tell the story of what was, for the most part, a very, very close game. Worcester ran, for many, the consensus best team in the league. Very, very close for much of that game, and gave Helvetia a real headache, particularly in the first half, before they ran out in the last 10 minutes and run up the scoreline a little bit. And the biggest problem that Worcester have got from that is it's really affected their goal difference in a pretty negative way. And that may be crucial if Davina Allo gets a block in.
Yeah, I was really interested by that result, that 9-1, when Worcester played Helvetia. Worcester are really direct and they can be really effective. Like you see here, great hold-up play from the pivot, lovely back heel. It doesn't quite come off this time, but like that, really effective. But Helvetia, just that little 1%, 2% across the court, that little bit of quality really does add up. And if Worcester aren't able to score goals and turn that pressure into scoreboard dominance, then unfortunately a team like Helvetia can do that to you if they're on their day.
Yeah, then they absolutely were. They scored some spellbinding goals really in that second half. Emma Toon, Charlotte Gurr and co will be in action later on. And well worth a watch as well. The gold standard in the women's Tier 1 so far this season. As for Worcester, they can mix it up a little bit. They can play possession, but they also love putting it in straight into that pivot. Jade Grove, who plays that role really, really effectively. Good win from Amy Wathen. Lovely ball in behind. Here is Jade Grove. Can she get there in front of Lauren Sayler? She can. The ball's going to end up in the back of the net, and a free kick is given, I think, against Jade Grove here. Now, it'd be interesting to know your opinions here, Braden. I think she's a little unlucky.
Yeah, just watching the replay here, just a tangling of legs almost is sort of the best description I can come up with.
Now, I'm sure that'd be a painful enough one for Lauren Sayler, don't get me wrong, but it did just look like a bit of a coming together more than anything else. I hope Lauren's okay. Looks like she's in a lot of pain. And Jade Grove was a little bit miffed that the goal was ruled out, but it wouldn't have mattered if she'd have done anything. She'd always be miffed that the goal was ruled out. That's the nature of a goal scorer, and she certainly is that.
Yeah, you're right. I think from watching the replay, it was just an unfortunate collision, a tangling of legs. Obviously, the foul has been given, but yeah, I don't think there was too much in the challenge.
What you have to feel for Lauren Sayler, she looks in a lot of pain. It's going to be an issue here for Will Wilson if Lauren is to miss any time in this match.
Yeah, it will be disappointing if she can't carry on. She's setting up now, but not only is her performance in goal, but she seems to be a real leader in the Southampton team, really confident. She's got a real presence about her. So hopefully you see her make a full recovery here.
Jade's just heading over now to just meet again. That time a little bit less physical. And it's good to see Lauren sat up, and hopefully she'll be okay to continue. Been a really influential part of this Southampton Aztecs team, the American keeper. And a background in football over in the USA. That was more as an outcourt, more an outfield player in football, of course, but as part of this Aztecs project has been a very, very handy keeper and a big part on the bench as well, just behind the scenes as part of the Southampton team. Well, one thing that they're going to have to contend with is that they don't have a recognised keeper on the bench. So I think Lauren Sayler is going to hand over the jersey, and I mean, we're seeing this on plenty of bank holiday weekends around the country at this stage. Who fancies it?
Yeah, it's not one that I'm often putting my hand up for. It takes a definite mentality to stand between goals and futsal.
Well, it looks like Catherine Heath has been nominated or volunteered. Yeah, one of the two.
I think I saw the straws come out, and maybe she's drawn the short one for this time.
It's a big miss for Southampton, and we really do hope Lauren's okay. She looked like a really painful one. full-blooded collision with Jade Grove. Goal hasn't stood, and now Worcester will look to get back on the move with the ball in possession. And it's a 2-on-1 situation here for Holly Rogers and Jade Grove. Kelly Tonks got back quickly. Foul given the other way this time, and a Worcester free kick in a dangerous spot.
Yeah, nice drive down there on the right flank. She used her body well, got it in between the player and the ball, and the defender really had no choice there. She had to have a go, otherwise there was a shot on. So it'll be interesting to see what Worcester do here with the first real set piece of the game.
Yeah, they do love their training, Worcester. They will have plenty of set pieces on dial, but sometimes there's nothing better than just having a bit of a whack from a close position, and Amy Wathen did just that.
Yeah, and it's a new goalkeeper in goal as well, so I think it's important to test her early and just try to get some shots on target. So that was probably the thinking there. Just trying to work a set piece on the near side, not quite enough real estate really, and the ball just runs out of play. It'll be Southampton to get us underway again.
Here comes Kelly Tonks and Rebecca Moody. And, well, if Southampton weren't aware they were going to play a lot of minutes already with just the 2 subs available, that message has rather been compounded by the injury to Lauren Sayler. Worst possible news, really. Here's Holly Rogers, who takes the shot. Well, volunteer keeper or not, I'm not sure even a good one would have stopped that from Holly Rogers. My goodness me, what a finish that is. Her 9th goal of a very productive season. And in a game that Worcester must win, they are indeed winning.
Yeah, it's a lovely piece of futsal there. As you say, a direct ball into the pivot. She's held it up well, found her runner, and boy, has she taken that finish well into the side netting. And it's a great goal to get us underway here today.
Fantastic finish from Worcester's Holly Rogers.
You have to say it probably was well deserved, their first goal. Worcester have started the game really well, creating chances, utilising it, their pivot play again, as Grove does so well.
It's a good run from Moody, just ran out of room. And Worcester can restart from base camp as we take another look at the goal, and a fantastic finish from Holly Rogers. She's been pretty prolific this year. We had a really good first half of the season when Worcester won the northern tier before we centralised and got the tier 1 north, tier 1 total, my apologies. But in the regional leagues for the first half of the season, Worcester topped it, and that includes the likes of Manchester and Liverpool, who are very, very solid teams. And it's not quite been as easy for them in the second half of the season once the best teams have collided here in Tier 1. In a scrap for the playoffs. In a minute, as it stands, they are in 4th place. They still have to rely on bettering Bolton's result. Now, one thing I mentioned could be important is goal difference. Helvetia, with that 9-1 win, took plenty off the Worcester total. And coming into the game, it was at -11. With Bolton's on a flush 0. And from a cynical perspective, I'm sure Luciana Silva and the girls here are thinking, we've got a rookie keeper in the net, we've got a team with just 1 sub, we've got a chance here to run up some goals. And they may well need it.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate scenario for Southampton, but Worcester have to be ruthless. They've got an opportunity, they've scored early, and that's exactly what they'll be thinking, is we need to be ruthless today. 1, 2, 3 is not enough. We need to just keep going for the full 40 and see how many goals we can put in.
Yeah, later on today, we'll see Bolton versus Bloomsbury, the 2 other teams on 6 points. Jade Grove tees up Jess Hood here, who was really impressive in spells against Helvetia, the youngster. Oh, that's a loose one from Catherine Heath. Now then, Kerry Walklet looked to put it through the legs of Tonks, and Moody will just settle for clearing that one away.
Yeah, unfortunately for Heath there, that's just a bit of inexperience as not being a goalkeeper herself. I think if the instruction's got to be for safety, for distribution today, for someone who's not used to playing in between the sticks.
Well, we always say, you know, that ever common phrase, you've got to be crazy to be a goalkeeper in futsal. That's amped up to about the power of 11. And when you're thrown in at the deep end, well, rather you than me, Catherine. Fair play to you. Jess Hood there on defensive duties.
I've seen a nice couple of direct balls from Southampton the last 2 times I've ventured into the Worcester half. Just finding little pockets of space in behind the Worcester defence. So it's just something that Worcester are going to have to be aware of. It's how they defend. They let the opposition have the ball in their half. And if you're going to do that, you need to get your angles really right defensively, because you can't let the ball come through that heart of your defence.
It was a really good ball, wasn't it, from Jess Hood, direct and angled into the replacement pivot, Sammy Hallsworth, who deputises for Jade Grove really effectively. Jade's missed plenty of the season through injury, and when that has been the case, despite Jade's obvious qualities as the top goal scorer for Worcester, Sammy's deputised really well in that position. Teed up for Wathen to have a whack. And she will do so again. Good save, and Jess Hood's over the bar. Decent chance for the youngster to get her first goal of the season. Southampton looks to get Davina Alo-Ololo on the run. Not quite there from Nikki Curtis.
Yeah, they look threatening, don't they, Worcester? Every time they go forward, they're really getting a lot of joy out of playing the ball into their pivot, and it's just something that Southampton are going to have to try and nullify, is blocking that ball into the pivot and preventing attacks before they get started, because once it's in there, they've got runners coming, they've got layoffs, they've got shots to the back post, and that's a real danger for Southampton.
Yeah, they've got really dangerous wing players, haven't they, whether it be Walcott and Rogers or indeed Jess Hood. The chance again for Jess, and she'd have loved that on her right foot, but she'll be disappointed not to hit the target even on her left. It's Wathen with the strike, and Catherine Heath makes another save. Be interesting to know if Catherine Heath's ever had any adventures in goal. She's looked relatively confident with the shots she's faced so far. As I say, the finish from Holly Rogers that put Worcester 1-0 up, I don't think many keepers would have saved. Mentioned earlier about the need for Worcester to be ruthless. They also need to be patient today, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. That's the nature of futsal, isn't it? It's about being positive, aggressive and ruthless, but calculated. Southampton get a chance, don't they?
They certainly did. Davina Alo-Ololo had a decent opportunity there. Should have brought that under control. Great feat from Jess Hood. Kerry Walker just slows things down and enables Worcester to build from the back again. Jess Hood's having some fun out there.
Yeah, I noted you said just earlier that she hasn't scored this season, and that really surprised me. The 2 days that I've got to see her, she's really stood out for me as an exciting prospect. Great technique, and really is always involved in it. So it'd be great to see her, get some reward for the effort that she's been putting in this season.
Just step off Davina Alo-Ololo there as they gave the ball away. Jess Hood, only a recent addition, really. Oh, Wathen's going to look to pick up Catherine Heath off her line, and that was very close.
Yeah, great awareness from Wathen, wasn't it? Heath just drifts forward, and Wathen sees the goalkeeper out of her area and almost doubles the lead for Worcester.
Easy save for Panniers. But Worcester, by virtue of their sort of process with the partnership with Hartpury University and a pretty good location, really, just below the West Midlands, where there's a lot of footballers looking to play some indoor stuff, which is generally how they've got people through the door. But they've had a fairly significant rotating cast in their squad throughout the season. But Jess is one of the youngsters through Hartpury College, who's coming towards the back of the season. This is only her 5th appearance in the league all year, and looks at home, doesn't she?
Yeah, here she goes again.
That's a brilliant ball.
And it's just quality futsal here from Worcester. Comfortable in their own half, playing triangles out of the pressure from Southampton, and then once they're in the attacking half from a wide area, driving it into the back post. It's really good to watch. Just feel like another goal is coming.
Yeah, Kerry Walcott did the right thing. She was there, available at the second post. I just don't think she expected the ball to whistle past the defender in front of it. Didn't gamble, and it stays at 1-0. Walcott steps in front of Moody, and Worcester will get the ball back from a set piece.
Just touching on what you're saying there, Steve, about the project at Hartbury College and Worcester. It's an exciting project, things like this for our sport. Like you say, initially it's attracting some footballers into the futsal scene, but now that they're here and they're established and involved in such a good product, now you're going to start to see out-and-out futsal players choosing to go to places like Hartbury because of their connection, and then from there things just grow. So it's an exciting time for everyone to be involved there, as well as all the other projects like that popping up around the country.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I think it was so big for Worcester men's team yesterday to stay in the division in Tier 1. A huge victory for them over Birmingham WLV in the relegation shootout. As Kerry Walker checks out the game, and another youngster on to call. That's Fiona James. Many appearances for Fiona so far this season either. Good to see her get some minutes. Very, very talented player, very much in the Jess Hood mould. Watch the feet. There is James again, steps away from Moody. Just need another option. Heath is just able to stand tall at her front post. 8th appearance this season for Fiona James. She's been a regular player on the bench for Worcester. Can Southampton look to break here with Curtis? Is a little bit impatient. I do just know about you here, Brain. Well, I think we're about to find out as the timeout is called, and it's a timeout called by Southampton. Will Wilson wants to talk things over with his team. Lot to go through, but I think generally he'll be pretty pleased with how they responded to the injury to Lauren Sayler. Let's listen in.
Okay, gather round. Kev, if you need a switch, we'll get you in, all right? Especially as you're going to be a bit fresher. All right. So, unfortunately, the game now is going to be the same thing. We're going to have to go on a low block 2-2. If that is it for now, we're limited in what we can do other than that. Our way of scoring is going to be simply counter-attacks, isn't it? Now, because they're playing out diamond, we can get to him behind there. Just make sure that we are accurate with those direct balls. And if we do play it and lose it in here, we have to get back quickly. That is our best chance. Kath, you're doing well at reading when to come out and when not to. So keep this up. Look, you're a player, so we might as well use you. Keep working hard. You got this. Do you want to come off?
It's really good. The top player as well, like Nicky did last time.
I lovely to hear those timeouts as always. Such a valuable insight into the game, and you almost got to feel a little bit for Will Wilson. He's been dealt such a tough hand here today, but pretty good advice. It's just difficult to execute.
No, completely. That's the first time I've been able to listen in on a timeout, and that was lots of value added there. I thought that was a really well delivered instruction from the coach. He summed up exactly what's going on really well. You know, we're going to have to fight here, defend, but when we get our opportunities, be accurate and find those pockets of space.
Yeah, and Worcester do play a pretty predetermined formation, as you'd call it. There is only really two formations in futsal that we see regularly, the 3-1 and the 4-0, but Worcester almost play a pretty structured diamond, don't they, with the two wings and the pivot up front, and there is spaces to be found potentially.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, I think the weakness for Worcester is the long-range shot.
Oh, that's going to hit the target. What a finish that is from Amy Wathen. Catherine Heath caught out a goal, trying to offer options on the fly keeper. But Amy Wathen gets her 7th of the season in Tier 1. She's been Worcester's main attacking outlet since they've joined the big leagues, and that is a very, very accurate finish from a full 30 yards away. That is a small target from that distance.
Yeah, she's done well, Wathen. We saw it earlier, a couple of minutes ago. She summed the situation up before and just missed, and this time she makes a correction.
Jade Grove back on in the pivot position for Worcester. There remains Hood and James on the wings. There's that little diagonal ball in towards Nicky Curtis. Wathen can sweep up, and James has a little bit of space to move into here. Hood on the left, Grove on the right. Here is Jade Grove. And Alo Alolo's done really well there. Bit of a physical mismatch, but she did brilliantly, the Southampton defender.
Yeah, I have to say, potentially a little disappointing there for Southampton to concede as they did. it was an instruction given from the coach. You know, we've got a court player in goal. If we need to use her, let's use her. So shot flashes wide. But I just wonder, they were soaking up pressure. You know, they'd got their way halfway through this first half just with the 1-goal deficit. I just don't know if that was a risk they really needed to be taking. I think they were creating enough little half chances to stay in the game.
Ball for Jade Grove again, and that's 3. Catherine Heath's goal is starting to get a little bit of a peppering, and Jade Grove secures her 14th goal of a very productive season. Fiona James rattled it back across. Another good save, but Grove, the fox in the box, primed to finish.
Yeah, and I think this type of goal is pretty characteristic after the flood. You know, I don't want to say the floodgates, but the last goal, there'd been pressure building. They get that second goal, and now, unfortunately for Southampton, a third follows quickly, and it'll be interesting to see how they respond now, because Worcester have their tails up, and
it's almost
have the momentum.
Well, here goes Davina Allo-Alolo in behind Wathen, who was strong, but illegally so, says our referee on the near sides. So Paul Gregory with the call, and didn't like what he saw. It's going to be a yellow card too for Amy Wathen.
Yeah, she does use her arms to get back there. I think Wathen has no choice really there. She's got to put a challenge in of some sort. I thought she did well to get her body in. You know, from the ref's perspective, he thought there was too much hands involved and gave her the card, and I think Amy Wathen's not going to really complain. She's stopped an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, and she's still on the court.
There still is a goal-scoring opportunity here, though. It'll be Becca Tonks to hit this. Well, tries to work it with Moody. Don't mind the idea, but when you've got a shot as good as Becca Tonks is and you're struggling to get efforts on goal, can't help but think that might have been plan A.
Yeah, it's a cute set piece where they do create a shooting angle. It's just, unfortunately, it's a difficult angle where it's running across her body. She's on her wrong foot, and it's running away from her. So it doesn't come off this time, and now we've got a corner for Worcester.
Holly Rogers on the set piece then for Worcester. Confirmation that yellow card was for Amy Wathen, not Ellie Briscoe. Good save in there from Catherine Heath, but the pressure will still keep coming. It's ironic, isn't it? After the timeout was called, we both commented on what, you know, the spirits were being kept up by Will Wilson, and it was valuable info. But I think he'd have been desperate to have called a timeout after the second goal went in that little spell, and you just got the sense that it might have run away from Southampton a little bit. Yeah,
I mean, futsal, it's a game of momentum, isn't it? You can see it. We can see it from here. When you're on the court, you can feel it. And when a team gets momentum, you know, you get your tails up and everything starts to go your way. And as a coach of the opposition, you're just looking for ways to influence the game. Can you get a timeout? No, you've used it. Can I make a sub? Can I change tactics? What can I do to take momentum away from the opposition?
And that's why Will Wilson will feel he's in a really tough spot. Can he make a timeout? No. Can he make a substitution? He's got one to choose from. It's tough.
Yeah, and that's where the character of your team really needs to come through. These girls, and they're still working hard for each other, and they are doing well out there. But Worcester really are in the ascendancy at the moment.
Yeah, and that wouldn't have been a surprise, even if we saw full strength Southampton. Worcester would have been favourites coming into this match, but they've been very good. So break here for Grove, looking to find any sort of room. Wasn't really any there, and that's what Southampton can do. Get the bodies back there. It is very, very difficult to find any sort of room. Worcester have been really, really good this year when they've had space to operate with, when they can hit that direct pass and get the runners in behind. But actually, if Southampton can set themselves up in a low block, it's a different challenge for this Worcester team, one they've not had to deal with too much. This is where they're dangerous. Rogers and Grove looking to combine. A little bit too much on that from Rogers, but Grove did brilliantly to keep it in. And Tonks runs it out and wins the team the set piece. A little bit less on that pass from Rogers, and I think Jade Grove and Ollie were in business there. Kaylee Tonks back onto court for Southampton. Allo-Alolo around the outsides.
What I've been impressed with from Worcester is in this type of play here, when they're in possession, the work from Amy Wathen. You can see there the fake inside. As a defender, that's really tough to deal with, because you know how dangerous they are when they get the ball into pivot. You're trying to prevent it. Then she's faking a pass out. You're moving. You're opening the middle, but then she fakes middle and she plays wide. That calculated approach, it's very subtle from Amy Wathen, but defending that is very difficult, because you're going from, I've got to block middle, oh, I've got to go out. No, I'm trying to read those triggers, and she's giving me false triggers here. She's giving me false triggers here. And for me, it's that approach that accumulates the pressure. And this time she shoots.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you've got such an obvious plan A, which is get the ball into the pivot and work from there, your plan B and plan C can become really effective, because you're really wary as a defender about that plan A.
Yeah, you're getting the defender into in a state of mind where they're expecting something. And in futsal, if you're expecting, you know, you can't anticipate. You need to be ready to react. If you're anticipating, then a good player can use that against you. It's the classic sort of judo expression where you use a player's strength against him. The more someone figures you out, the more they anticipate, the more there becomes a weakness.
Through the ball forward, and Worcester can build from base with Becca Panniers. 4 minutes and change to go in this first half. Worcester 3-0 in front. And remember, they are very much still in playoff contention. They need a win at bare minimum, and if they can really dust them off on the goal difference, it would mean a lot to them as well. Big ask to overturn, but you never quite know. It's the final day of the regular season. We have playoffs next week, and then we'll see the grand final on BT Sport on the 21st. Holly Rogers with a shot spilt by Heath, but generally, you've got to say Heath's done pretty well.
Yeah, she's doing a great job. Throwing the gloves and said good luck, and she's throwing herself around and putting her body on the line for the team.
Yeah, couldn't ask for much more. It's good from Grove. Steps away from Tonks and then from Curtis. This is the A4 really for Worcester. They'll be hoping to score with this set on court at the moment. Really sort of push home that advantage.
Yeah, you're right. Futsal, obviously, with the amount of substitutions, you can really mix up who's on the court. And often that means you might not always have your strongest four on the court. You want to balance them across combinations. But as you've identified, they do have the strongest four here. And that's by design. They will be trying to score goals here, and they will be wanting to get reward.
Wathen flew in. That's brilliant defending from Davina Aloalolo. You've got to respect it from Southampton. They are putting their bodies on the line here in a really, really tough spot. Aloalolo just takes a seat on the bench, just feeling the impact of that challenge. I think she'll be okay. Just takes a breather for now. But it's, at this stage of the season particularly, it's easy to forget where Southampton started. They weren't even a club this time last year. Futsal Taster Session run by Will Wilson on the South Coast was introduced, and all these girls showed up along with plenty of others, and they thought, well, actually, we're all right at this. We enjoy it. Should we start a team? And then all of a sudden, they're in the Southern Division of the Women's Series, and then they were good enough to get themselves promoted into the big leagues. And it's a pretty extraordinary progression inside just a year. It's exceeded all of Will Wilson and co.'s expectations, but they're very aware and very accepting of the fact they're still very much learning on the job. And it's a tough school.
Yeah, and Will's obviously doing a great job. You know, just from listening into that half-time talk, you can see he's got a really clear view of the game, and he was giving some good advice, and credit to them to put this project together so quickly.
Harry Walker wins another set piece. But what's so difficult, isn't it, when we saw it yesterday with Kent United, is when you've got that sort of new project starting and you are thrown in the deep end, the biggest thing you're looking for really is buy-in, isn't it, from the players? And do they have the commitment? Can you see they've got it in them to learn it? Because it is tough.
Completely.
You've really got to work really hard to get to the level where you can really compete, and Southampton do seem to absolutely have that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. For me, futsal is about having 5 players on the court, all willing to commit 100% for each other. And for me, first and foremost, I want 5 players who have that desire and commitment to play good futsal above anything else. You know, back home in New Zealand, we had a similar project when I started in our national league. We had 15 and 16-year-olds, and we went 3 seasons without winning a game. You know, fast forward 7 years, and that team now is our national champions, those same guys together. And it's that commitment to everyone invested into the big picture, the journey of we're trying to build something here. Hey, this year's, you know, we're gonna try to win as much as we can, but it's experience. Let's learn, let's come back, let's get better. And that's what Southampton have got to keep in mind and perspective, that this is day one, you know.
And it's not easy as well, because you are taking those knocks. It's easy to be committed when you're winning every week, and you know you're turning up. You've got good teammates. You know, if you put the effort in, you'll probably get the rewards. If you know you're going to put the effort in, but the rewards are a long way away, it's then more difficult to sort of get that buy-in. But that's what Will's got with this group of girls. They've been excellent all season, and they've bloodied the noses of some really very talented teams. It's a clever little ball from Curtis round the corner, but just shutting that one down was Laura Dodwell, who's come on for the last couple of minutes here for Worcester in the first half. Is Sammy Hallsworth again, as Jade Groves departed. Hallsworth with the strike and Heath with the save. Ironically, the one thing that you'd say is probably let Heath down as a keeper is the one thing you thought she might have been best at, which is the distribution. She's made her saves okay, but the distribution hasn't always been there, and it's causing Worcester a few problems. Referees are just having a conference call here. I think we're okay. Having a look at the scoreboard. Everything seems in order to me.
Yeah, it's a different kettle of fish for Heath in goal. It's one thing trying to keep possession in the attacking half, but when you're the last player, when it's every pass you make is do or die, you're under a different sort of microscope there.
And also, she won't be used to playing on 4 seconds when she's sort of on the court, which is a totally different thing to get used to.
Just under a minute to play here in this first half, and you'd have to say success for Southampton through that last period of dominance from Worcester. We said we had their dominant 4 on, and Southampton were able to absorb that pressure. They haven't conceded, and now here they are pushing for a goal with a chance.
And it's a good chance for Tonks. Good save from Panniers, and Wathen can clear it away. Yeah, keeping Worcester honest to Southampton.
And it's these little balls here from Heath that I think is the potential kink in the armour for Worcester. For me, just their transition into defence isn't as good as it could be, Worcester, and they are susceptible to being caught out for that early ball direct behind.
Sammy Hallsworth there taking a gamble and keeping that ball in. It almost fell for Becca Tonks. Might do here. Wathen has to be careful. And Southampton here ending behalf the stronger, would you believe? So Wathen with the ball up. And that will just about do us. Half-time then here at the University of Wolverhampton, and it's Worcester who lead, but that doesn't really even begin to tell the story of the first half. Southampton have been dogged in the face of some pretty significant adversity. Lauren Sayler, the goalkeeper, injured within the first opening 5 minutes of play. She's not been able to return to court. And with only 2 substitutes available, and both those 2 are out-court players, Southampton have been right up against it. Worcester need to win, and they are winning, but they're going to look to perform a little bit better in the second half. Half-time reaction on its way next as we leave you for now. Southampton 0, Worcester 3.
Welcome back. Half-time here at Southampton 0, Worcester 3. Worcester in the driving seat as they lead at half-time. And I mean, it's expected, isn't it? Because they're taking advantage of the injury that happened to Southampton, of course, the lack of players on their bench, and it looks like they're in cruise control now.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the team sheets before the game, we discussed it, that the lack of depth in Southampton's squad compared to Worcester could play a difference. It obviously has with the turning point of the game with the injury to Sayler, the goalkeeper, but I mean, Worcester have got the quality in terms of the individuals and as a team performance, and in the goals they've shown that.
Yeah, I think like looking at the team sheets, as we said, having a small squad is really difficult in futsal. And Worcester's got a big squad, and it's not. They're a good squad as well. It's not like they have weak players. So we knew going into this Southampton were going to have a tough time, and obviously with a smaller squad, you lack those rotations. And yeah, with the injury to Lauren Sayler, obviously they've lost an outfield player who's had to go in goal, and yeah, it's a hard one to recover from mentally and sort of in the game as well.
Well, as we know, Worcester need a win, and they're pushing on for it. Let's have a look at the goals, because they are being absolutely ruthless in this first half. Could have been more. Here's the first goal of the game.
It was a quick turnover, and then Jade Grove playing in Holly Rogers.
What a finish!
And it was a great finish. You know, down that right-hand side, time and space to get into, and it's all about now, can you get your shot off? There's a space in that far corner, and it's exquisite.
Yeah, it's a good finish, but you think that maybe Lauren Sayler, their normal keeper, is a very good keeper, that might not have gone in, which is such a shame. But again, yeah, Jade Grove, the sort of architect of that chance for Holly Rogers.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a good goal in the end.
Now we've seen a lot of this, haven't we, with the open goal, goalkeeper going fly, left the goal open, and that's what happens.
I suppose Southampton have had to adapt to a fly goalkeeper now, because they've got an outfield player playing in goal, but then when you do that, you're susceptible for long shots. With Amy Wathen's done that.
I think Southampton actually do play fly keeper a lot, but I think it's that adapting to having a different keeper. So obviously Catherine Heath, she's not used to playing as a keeper. I think it's a communication thing, really. They don't know that she's out of the goal, and they lose the ball, and it's an easy finish for Amy Wathen.
I mean, she done well as a keeper here to keep two saves out, but couldn't keep the third one.
But Jade Grove, I got to say, because she had a shot at the first, and there was a save, and then it fell to one of her teammates, and then had a rebound shot, and Jade Grove there doesn't fall asleep on the wings. Look, she's straight back into the middle of the pitch. Where can I pick up second pieces, pick up balls, and then she's put the ball in the back of the net. She'll be vital today in terms of her link-up play, like the first goal that we've seen, to be more productive in terms of goals for Worcester.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a field day for her. She's able to poach those goals when she's close, and I think Southampton are going to have to be aware that Catherine Heath, she might not catch the ball as much potentially as Lauren Sayler, so those sort of spilled balls in futsal, they're really important that you're following up defensively, and also Jade Grove, she's going to be there to tap them in, and they can't let it be that easy for her.
Let's have a look at that injury, because I'm sure Worcester now will be taking advantage of the fact that they have an outfield player in goal. Unfortunate injury to happen. I mean, in the first instance, it doesn't look like it's a serious injury, but we heard the screams.
Yeah, I mean, it was a strong coming together, no malice in it at all. Jade Grove's trying to probably get the ball and just touch it around and get half a yard. I mean, yeah, it's the four. I think she's holding her knee or stroke shin. Bit of a twist of the ankle possibly, but yeah, I mean, when you fall on that ground, I mean, I was on there yesterday playing, having a kick about after the men's, and if you ever fall on that ground, you definitely know about it.
I mean, credit to Lauren Sayler. She's a great player for Southampton, and she's come out, she's been strong, she's prevented the goal, and unfortunately she's got injured on this occasion, and best wishes to her. Hopefully it's not anything too serious, and it is just a sort of impact injury, but yeah, it's
you kind of see, as soon as it happened, I look over to the bench and look at the coach Will, and he's low on numbers as it is. He's then thinking, now what do I do? But that's what futsal's all about. You've got to adapt, you've got to adjust. They're just lacking in that little bit of quality. They feel like they've just got to try and believe in themselves, if anything, a bit more, just try and get himself back in the game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough, but I think because Lauren Sayler, not only is she a very strong keeper, she is a very vocal person at the back of the court. But obviously now she's sort of got her breath back from that injury. You can hear her on the bench just sort of willing her team on. That's going to be really important. Is they're going to have to hold each other up, because it's tough when you're against a team like Worcester or like any good team. You lose your keeper, you lose a good player, and it's going to be an uphill battle.
Well, it's not over yet. It's all still to play for in the second half. We'll see you shortly after this quick break.
Well, a very warm welcome back to the National Futsal Series. We are live with the Women's Tier 1, Southampton versus Worcester. It's Southampton who kick us off. And it is still Catherine Heath in between the sticks for the Aztecs. Lauren Sayler was getting a little bit of treatment at half-time. We were keeping an eye on, but it looks like her race is run for the season, which is a sad way for her to end it. But we wish her all the very best in her recovery. And for Worcester, this is now about being that word used in the first half, Braden, but it's about being ruthless. If they are to qualify for the playoffs, they can get it in their own hands by turning their goal difference around. It started at -11, the team above them, Bolton, are on 0. Is this time for Worcester just to go gung-ho and try and do something pretty special?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, that's a good start.
Exactly.
Before you can answer that question, Holly Rogers puts them 4-0 in front, her second on the day. And well, if they are going to do that, if that is the plan, that's the way to start it. Less than a minute into the second half, Holly Rogers gets a little bit of luck, but it's 4-0.
Yeah, it's a dream start. And to be honest, I think that's the exact attitude that I think they need to adopt. You know, with the reality of the situation, so many goals to try and peg back. They've got 20 minutes here, though. You know, it's an ideal scenario. Unfortunately, the opposition's goalkeeper's been subbed off. Unfortunately, the opposition doesn't have, you know, a lot of subs. And if you're Worcester, you know, it's leave it all out there now. Let's take risk to try and get the reward we need.
Rebecca Panier's eyes lit up there, but as we saw from Kaya Bone yesterday, that extraordinary goal for Manchester against Loughborough, it is very much not easy to do that. It's, if you ever get the chance to stand in the middle of a futsal goal and see the other end of the court, it is something of a blind spot on the horizon. The other keeper's net is Jade Grove for Worcester, looking to roll her defender. Becca Moody was standing firm. There's Grove again, blasts it across, and Holly Rogers was close.
Really great futsal there from Grove. She's dynamic, she receives the ball well, great first touch, and then has the ability to either turn or lay it off or roll and shoot. And she got a great ball into the back post.
And again from Amy Wathen, and I think there's a couple of glances there from Grove and Wathen to Holly Rogers as the winger saying, where were you on that second post?
Yeah, unfortunately for Worcester, that's 2 in a minute there, where the ball's flashed across to the back post. And this is what I'm talking about, the risk they need to play.
Here goes Jess Hood, there's her pace, good save.
This is where you want to see them take the risk. As an opposite flanker, get to their back post, you know. You see the opposition go down the flank, you see your teammate go down the other flank, go to the back post and take that risk, because you're 4-0 up, we need goals, and if they had fair plays there, they would have at least put one of them away.
Tonks gets a head up and looked to pick out Nikki Curtis, but the ball was just moving as it was played off the line there, and that'll be that'll go the other way now for a Worcester kick in.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Southampton, because again it's that transition moment for me. Worcester just being caught a little, I just have to say, a little lazy in transition, just taking things for granted that they're in control. For me, when they lose the ball, they need to quick. Wathen needs to take control and say, girls, get in. Let's get behind the ball, because at the moment they are susceptible to that ball over the top or that ball through.
Left for Wathen to drive it to that second post, and Jade Grove is there. That is exactly what they're looking for. It might not look pretty when goals go in like that, but Jade Grove, those are the goals she loves to score. That's a poacher's goal if ever there was one, and it's 5.
Yeah, it's a good futsal goal in terms of understanding of where the opportunity is going to arise. And this is what I was talking about. Grove has taken the gamble. She's got to the back post, and she's in the right place, which is half of it. The ball's hit her and gone in.
The second goal of the game. Holly Rogers on 2 as well. Amy Wathen getting the other from deep inside her own half. Southampton looking to fly here with Catherine Heath. It's a risk. Jade Grove here. Can she hit the target? Goes round Rebecca Moody. Strikes it on target, but Catherine Heath just had enough time to get back. Rebecca Moody just did enough there, just to delay the Worcester captain. But I will say, if Southampton are going to continue to sort of utilise Catherine Heath's outfield qualities by using her as the fly, it is a natural risk, and it's going to play into Worcester's hands.
Yeah, completely. I mean, that's the decision they've made, and they're going to stick to it. But, you know, from what we've seen so far, I think you do wonder if that risk is going to pay off for them, because so far Worcester have, you know, when they have utilised the fly goalkeeper, Worcester have won the ball back and created chances and scored chances.
There's another look at that Jade Grove's second goal, and a really good finish it was too. Sometimes it is that simple. Hit it hard, hit it low, and it'll hit someone on its way through. That's Grove again. Good save from Catherine Heath. Just wonder if on that occasion, I mean, who am I to criticise Jade Grove's finishing? She won't thank me for that. I'm sure she'll tell me about it after. I just wonder if she could be a little bit cuter about it there, because from that angle, despite the fact that it's an outfield player in goal in Catherine Heath, it's still a very, very narrow angle just by her sheer presence in that goal.
It's a goal scorer's instinct, though, isn't it? You know, that's what makes her so good. She's ruthless. She's got an eye for goal. And dare I make the comparison to Ferrell for Barcelona? We saw him in the Champions League over the weekend, and that's, you know, I will make the comparison. She's got that about her. She's got great control. She can turn and look for the back of the net, and that's that goal scorer's instinct.
We saw Ferrao and co lifting the Champions League last night on BT Sport. Brilliant victory for them, and it just shows when you take a look at the arena in Riga last night. It just looked an absolute picture, and that's the gold standard for futsal, and something that, I mean, all the men's players yesterday, that's the ultimate dream, and they have that chance. You know, you always have a puncher's chance in any sport. If you get your qualification into the Champions League, maybe you can qualify for the group stage, maybe. But when you see the game as a spectacle as it looked last night, it's impossible not to get those starry eyes, isn't it?
Oh, completely. And you know, with the excitement around the sport at the moment and the product that you know the NFS has been this year and that BT have covered, I think it's a really exciting time for the sport. Coming out of COVID, things opening up, there's a lot of excitement around the game. You know, little, like you say, watching things like that, and you start to think and you start to dream. And the great thing about being over here in Europe, obviously I'm from the Southern Hemisphere, is we don't have that Champions League or Euros, you know, carrots. For you guys, it's a real carrot. Like, it's something you can stay up late and dream about.
Almost a really nice little bit of link-up play there between the two Tonk sisters, Becca and Kaylee. Kay couldn't quite link up. So substitutes have been rung for Worcester. Kerry Walcott, Jess Hood, Sammy Hallsworth and Fiona James on court at the moment. Can they keep the pressure on despite the switching up of the playing staff? Walcott's header. This will break for Hood. She wants that goal, doesn't she? You can sense it. There's a few efforts she's had now that she'll be a little bit disappointed with, but just has to keep knocking on that door.
Yeah, and as I said in the first half, she deserves it. I mean, I'll be quickly to follow that by saying I'm sure she's a great team player and she doesn't really mind who scores as long as the team wins, but wouldn't it be nice, you know, just to bag a couple yourself and get that reward for putting in week in, week out quality performances.
It's a good win from James, but Tonks is strong, but she's swarmed by the two diminutive Worcester wingers in Hood and James. Walcott's got a bit of space here. Lovely link up between her and Hood. Can't quite connect in the second chance. Yeah, when you've got players like Hood, Walcott and James, you are going to get a little bit of that, isn't it? The little ticky-tacker in and out.
Yeah, it's really, you know, cute play, and unfortunately they're playing against a deep defence where the space is limited.
Walcott across, that's a brilliant ball.
And when, you know, futsal is about utilising the space you have. If a team sits deep, you know, the space to play is not in front of their goal. The space to play is in front of that low block.
It's a decent chance for Rebecca Moody. They've been limited for Southampton.
So I think if you're going to see, you know, the type Walklett and Hood get success, it's probably going to be in those transition moments where Southampton have been drawn out. There's some space to utilise, and then that's where they'll be really ruthless. Once they've sat compact, it's going to be about firing balls into the back post, setting blocks, you know, being a bit less cute to create those shooting opportunities.
There's Laura Dodwell on court, the number 8. Here's Walklett. Loose touch from Hallsworth. Can't go back to Panniers here, I don't think, so just has to settle for conceding the kick in. And Panniers can just rather walk over and pick the ball up calmly in the midst of Hallsworth and Tonks battling for it on the deck. Back at Tonks, Katie Tonks, all kinds of room. Can she finish? No. That was a good chance for Southampton, and Worcester do just have to be careful. If they are to pull off the sort of goal difference miracle that will be the aim, you've got to keep it shut at the other end.
Yeah, for me, it's that same moment for Worcester again. They've got to, you know, they've got to defend a kick in, and it's just a bit slow to react and get set up. They've obviously had a great season, and they're putting in a great performance today, but I wonder if that's something that they'll look at in their sort of end-of-season review and think, you know, where are those 1 and 2 percenters that we could improve on? And for me, that would be a nice, quick, easy, simple win to get them to that next level, to go, you know, when we lose the ball, let's get set up, let's really take pride in that transition moment, and I think they could prevent a lot of opportunities.
Dodwell was just about back in time there, but it did just open up for a second for Moody again. Here's Tonks to Alo Alolo. Cut out by James, and Moody was there to the second ball. Now then, Walklett, can she get there first? Not quite. I was just lit up for a fraction of a second. Moody quickly across. For a quick start to the second half for Worcester, where they got 2 goals in pretty quick time. Just slowed down a touch. And I say that goal difference started this match at -11, courtesy largely now then Campania's at the target. It's not a bad effort, just slightly the wrong side. Overcompensated from her last attempts. But that last game against Helvetia, the 9-1, just ran away from them. And if they are to pull it back, they are going to need every chance to go their way from here on out. Otherwise, they're relying on Bolton not beating Bloomsbury in our next game, and that one is coming up next as well, Bolton versus Bloomsbury. Those 2 teams also on 6 points, looking to join Helvetia, Manchester and Birmingham in the Tier 1 playoffs.
Yeah, really exciting day ahead of us, particularly that match. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, and I'm sure the Worcester side will be here watching on with a lot of interest.
Yeah, Bloomsbury can in theory still qualify for the playoffs, but they also need a big goal difference swing. And if they can beat Bolton, it would work into the favour of Worcester. Bolton, though, are the team, having come into the last game of the season in 4th place. It's theirs to lose. They just need to do their job and win against Bloomsbury. As it stands, they are into the playoffs. Worcester are hoping just to add a little bit more jeopardy into that and make them earn it a little bit more by arresting that goal difference imbalance. But it's a big ask from here.
I would imagine Bloomsbury have probably just inherited a dozen loud supporters in the form of Worcester players. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Worcester in the stands cheering them on. Not that they'll have anything against Bolton, but just for the reality of the situation.
Good ball into Grove. Tries to set it back for Walklett. Those 2 just weren't quite on the same wavelength. Rebecca Tonks shackled by Dodwell. to Worcester ball. Amy Wathen is back on as well. A really key player for Worcester. Plays most minutes, most games in that fixed position. Her link up with Grove has been excellent all year. Again, firing into that second post.
That combination we just saw, I'm guessing, must be just a week in, week out. Fixo into pivot, lay off to flanker. You know, Wathen into Grove with Walklett down the flank. It's just almost second nature to these girls at the moment.
Yeah, we see it a lot. Loose touch from Walklett. Those are a bit of a collector's item. Curtis can get Southampton back in possession. The other three teams already secured in their playoff positions: London, Helvetia, Manchester and Birmingham. We'll see all them later on today.
Bit of a lull sort of in the last couple of minutes as Worcester have made a few substitutions. I think what we've seen here now, they've got 4 of those exciting players back on the court that I would imagine they're targeting another period of dominance here. They're looking for more goals. So, yeah, a few subs coming through and expect some high pressure here from Worcester.
Holly Rogers dispossesses Curtis, tees it back for Grove. Shot comes in and Aloilolo got across to make the block. Really good defending from Aloilolo again. That's Hood, scoops into the path of Grove. Round the corner to Wathen. It's really nicely worked. That's Grove, what a good save. That'd have been a brilliant goal from Worcester. And denied by a really good save by the stand-in keeper, Catherine Heath.
Yeah, you love to see the confidence in this Worcester side at the moment. Jess Hood with the scoop into the pivot. She had no right to be playing that pass, but she's got the confidence at the moment to do that, and they link up again, and then the reverse ball to the back post. It was, you know, one of the nicest phases of play that we've seen today.
Yeah, and Jade Grove, being the goal scorer she is, would have been really annoyed not to finish that. Was a good save, yes, but Jade Grove from that distance would have been hoping to give Catherine Heath no chance.
It's a great little reaction shot there from Southampton. And the Worcester goalkeeper's been called into action. That, you know, in games like this, as a goalkeeper for Worcester, you can switch off, but she's done really well there to stay to her job and pull out a good save there to hold on to that 5-goal advantage.
Jade Grove actually getting in Holly Rogers' way there. It was a block by her own player.
You have to wonder if fatigue is an element here for Southampton, just with that one
long game for them, isn't it? And you know what it's like as well when you've got to play those serious hardcore minutes. This is the sort of time when it really starts to hurt. Oh, well, won't hurt for much longer. Kaylee Tonks has rifled in a fantastic goal, and that will just lift up this Southampton Aztecs team. What a brilliant goal this is from Kaylee Tonks.
Yeah, just as we're saying they're getting fatigued, this is the best thing to give yourself a second wind. It's a great little move, a little shimmy cut in on her right foot, and I think it's a toe poke finish. Bottom corner, Tonks will be happy with how that one's gone into the back of the net.
Yeah, Amy Wathen put into the spin cycle a little bit. I don't think she was anticipating the check inside, and Kelly Tonks with a fantastic finish once the chance opened up. That's Hood. Again, the quest for her first goal of the season continues. And a timeout is called. This was called before the goal went in for Will Wilson, but I'm sure he'll be keen to praise his girls for their response nevertheless. Timeout Southampton. Let's take a listen in.
All right, go on, you're on. Yeah. Take her off. Okay, sorry.
Put your bit back on. Focus, girl.
Okay. You're doing so fantastically well. Can't ask for any more effort than this. This is brilliant. You got Oh, 7 minutes left. That goal, fantastic. The work rate is brilliant. This is the kind of fight, spirit, togetherness that we need to get us through this. Forget the result. Just keep your eyes on the performance. It has been brilliant. All circumstances forgotten. It's been absolutely brilliant. Keep that up, please. Okay, enjoy the rest of your rest. Get some more air. Get some more water. You got this.
Go out with this intensity, girls. They don't want this. We want it, they don't.
There's a great spirit in that Southampton camp, isn't there? And we talked about it earlier on, their situation, their season, their situation as a club as a whole is a little bit different to most, and I think Will Wilson, they're just quite keen to impress. It's the last 7 minutes of their regular season before they go into the relegation playoffs. The game's gone. It's just about enjoying it and putting in that work ethic, keeping those standards up as a team.
Yeah, I'm becoming a big fan of Will Wilson. I think if I'm a player in his team right now, I'm going, I'm believing every word you're saying, and I'm going to go back out there for this team and put in as much effort as I can. And that's really the purpose of that timeout. Sometimes a timeout is tactical. Sometimes you want to break momentum. This time it was a timeout to manage fatigue. 7 minutes to go. He's picked his moment to give his girls a rest, and that's what he's done. He hasn't overcomplicated it. He's brought them in, congratulated them, and given them a chance just to catch their breath before they get out there and put in 6 more minutes of hard work.
There's another good Worcester chance there, just fell by the wayside. Jade Grove cutting it back and slicing 2 Worcester players in 2. In the end, no one on the end of it. Remains 5-1. Panniers, third time lucky? No.
And watching Panniers, you can see she's really disappointed in herself. She's had 3 opportunities. These are not easy opportunities. I myself, I've stood in goal and tried to do. I don't know if I've ever done it in my life.
They look so much easier than they are. And we'll say that. The goal that Kai Bone scored yesterday, quite rightly getting a big sort of reaction on social media. It is so difficult to do, and the fact that he flushed it straight down the middle was something else as well. Is Jess Hood, and still she awaits that first opportunity to get her name on the score sheet. It will be it's goal kick, I think it's been signalled. Yeah, goal kick Southampton. Jess Hood insistent that it was deflected, but the referee on the near side, Paul Gregory, had other ideas.
We've talked about her a couple of times already today, but Jess Hood, she's been dynamic today, and for me has been a real standout, really lively, and here she is again winning the ball and trying to create goal-scoring opportunities. And there's a real energy about that, and it's contagious within a team. When you've got players like that who are busy, who are buzzing, moving about, it starts to get around the team.
It's nicely worked from Rogers. Wathen looking for a little bit of room. Now Grove, quick feet, just avoids Holly Rogers in the middle. And quite a few of those nearly moments, which, if Worcester are hypercritical of themselves, they might watch back and think, oh, we could have maybe got that goal difference back, but it's a big ask to win a match in any level by that many goals.
Yeah, you're right. I think all players do that. You think back about those little moments. They're sometimes the first ones you watch back on the video is, oh, how close was I? Could I have actually cut that back? Could I have been there? But the reality, as much as I've had a lot of chances, I've also created a lot and put a lot of chances away. And I'm sure they'll be feeling pretty good about how this match has gone.
Free kick for foul by Wathen. Southampton to maybe work something off a set piece. Catherine Heath coming over to join the conversation. Moody over it. Oh, and another one. It's in off Wathen. I think that'll go down as a Rebecca Moody goal. Shot towards the target. And when you buy a ticket, sometimes you win the raffle.
Yeah, completely. It's direct and it's in the right areas. She's got great connection with it, and if you're Amy Wathen, you have to stick out a leg, and unfortunately she just didn't have the time to react, and there's no chance there for the Worcester goalkeeper.
Well, Luciana Silva chooses this moment to call a timeout. This will be an interesting listen-in. Let's listen in to this at Worcester bench.
At the start, right? So remember, around the halfway court. Make sure there is pressure on the ball. What did we say? What was the third thing? Watch your player, right? If we let them do 1, 2, pass and go, then that's how they score the goals. So key thing for us is we need to start being organised. Really organised when we're defending. The recovery runs really compact there. We are winning, it's 5-2. Let's concentrate. Let's keep that possession. If we make mistakes, they score goals. If we keep the ball, they don't. Right? So let's do it. Come on. Come on, guys.
Yeah, interestingly, Brain, I mean, that's pretty much what you were saying about 5 minutes ago, about that concentration, the willingness to get back and track those runners in transition.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one for a coach. It's the reality of the game, though. They were 5 goals up, and it's a real mental discipline to be able to say for the girls to go, we're 5-0 up, but we still have to defend. We're 5-0 up, but we still have to be better than them in every area of the court. And for me, that's just what's lacked a little bit. A bit different there with the free kick. That's direct and unfortunate. But there have been those little moments that obviously Luciana's not happy about, and she's just asking for a bit more from the girls.
Kerry Walklett checks in to replace Jess Hood. 2 players very much cut from the same cloth. Here's Jade Grove. Alawalolo snapping at the heels and wins it. And here comes Tonks. Oh,
wow.
You've got to hand it to these Southampton girls, man.
Yeah.
They've been awesome today.
And then, you know, Will said that in his first time out tour. He said, if we're going to score, it's going to be on the counter. And they have created some opportunities. And you just think 4.5 minutes, if that goes in, that's a real plot twist for Worcester. Hold on, all of a sudden, we've only got a 2-goal buffer here. We've got back to the trenches.
Here is Kerry Walklett. And as we heard in that timeout from Luciana Silva, focus might be on a little bit more possession play. Becca Tonks gets the better of Jade Grove, and then Kerry Walklett and earns herself a free kick too.
Yeah, I think it's the right call there. She got, hit from both sides there as she's driven through. She was able to maintain possession, but it put her out of her stride enough that it was a disadvantage. So I think it's the right call from the ref to bring that one back. Sometimes they don't always get called those, and you almost think, what, do you want me to go down? Do you want me to go down to get the foul? But in that case, the referee saw what was going on.
There's Wathen for Worcester, links with Grove. Can't get by Alawalolo, who actually wins the ball as well. It will be a Worcester ball, though, from the set piece, rather.
Done well to defend that one. Grove summed the situation up really well. She faked the shot and had the opportunity to cut inside or go down the line, but it was red this time.
I mean, she sold me. I thought for all the world that was going to be a Jade Grove shot to the second post. Another Worcester ball coming in.
Yeah, and as a defender, those little feints, the change in momentum, it's, if you throw your momentum half a step one way, they're half step the other way and they're gone.
So Grove now in the fixed position. A little bit more of a possession-based approach from Worcester, but they don't keep the ball. Here's Walklett winning it back, and Becca Tonks. This has happened in both halves. They've almost got stronger as the half's gone on, Southampton, which, considering they've had one side to play all game, is an extraordinary effort. Grove tried to step in there on Becca Tonks, who couldn't keep the ball, but was wary enough just to make sure that Jade Grove couldn't get it.
Yeah, I think as the intensity drops, I think that suits Southampton. Worcester came out firing, high intensity. They dominated the game. Southampton have stayed at that level, which they've had to survive. If they come out full guns blazing, they can't sustain that for 40 minutes with one sub. So they've had to set a lower intensity, and as Worcester have settled down to that level of intensity, Southampton are back in it.
Turning here is Hallsworth. Decent block that from Moody. Wathen again cuts out. Now then Becca Tonks tees it up. Kaylee Tonks. Oh, what a good save from Panniers that is. What a good save that is. Wathen there at the back, questioning the rest of her teammates. But Southampton there nearly in business again on the counter.
And it's Tonks again finding herself in the right area.
Here's Walklett. Trusts the pace. And she's right too. Finds the cross for Hallsworth. And I think that's a fantastic save.
How's the composure from Worcester there? She's got her own player driving in front of her, 2 defenders. She's just got the time, the composure to just hold the ball up. And then the reverse ball, find a teammate on the top of the D, and they can't find the back of the net, but it's lovely from Worcester.
Well, goal kick given in the end to Southampton, despite Holdsworth's protestations that it was a save. I'm happy to believe it just because it gives Catherine Heath the credit there for making a brilliant save as a stand-in keeper.
Yeah, she's done really well for the team. It's not an easy task, and not an expected task, but she's just got on with the job, really.
It's nice from Holdsworth. Rogers going near post there was never really going to yield much fruit. Catherine Heath has really taken on for the team today. She's done very well.
Yeah, I think that's a testament to the culture we saw on this side of all the timeout breaks. It's a lovely ball. It just runs away a little bit. But yeah, the culture in Will's team, and you even heard from the injured goalkeeper supporting her girls, and you can still hear her loud on the sideline. They've really got a belief about them, and it's really good to watch.
Here comes Holdsworth. Good save again from Catherine Heath. She's made some real saves in this game. She's been called upon plenty. Southampton defend another set piece. Sent forward, Nikki Curtis, all on her own. And look at the celebrations on the Southampton bench. Nikki Curtis gets her goal. It's 5-3. And, well, you've just got to respect this effort from Southampton. This has been phenomenal.
What a lovely finish. A great touch. The first touch there, that's not easy to do. The ball's coming over the top. You're wondering if it's going to get a little deflection. It doesn't. It falls to her. Perfect first touch. And the composure, turn, pick out the bottom corner, and all of a sudden it's 5-3.
That is Nikki Curtis's first goal of the season in her 11th appearance. And the way that was celebrated suggests her teammates knew that as well.
Yeah, it's a really nice moment there. And the rewards that the Southampton team deserve for the just effort that they've put in for this 40 minutes.
Tonks to Tonks and back to Tonks. Kaylee DeBecker, one-on-one. No way through there. Can I trouble you, Braden, for a player of the match shout?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been impressed with a lot. We've talked a lot about some of the Worcester players like Jess Hood and Walker, but for me, it's Jade Grove, the Worcester captain. She's every time she's on the court, she's dynamic, she's creating opportunities, and yeah, for me, she's the standout and the real difference today.
Yeah, she has been outstanding. And here's Jade Grove taking a breather for now, well deserved. Put a shift in today for her team.
And I did make the Farrell comparison earlier, so I feel like...
Yeah, you kind of have to there,
off the back of that, you know, she's clearly caught the eye.
It's Becca Tonks who runs over it for Moody to have a crack. Nikki Curtis almost in again. And in the end, it will be a Worcester ball. Oh, is it corner given? Rest having a bit of a conference. It is a goal kick.
Worcester have to be careful here. I mean, if that one had gone in, it's 5-4. And still 30 seconds to play. You'd like to think they see out this match, but I think they just need to have their wits about them a little bit.
Handball by Becca Tonks. Well, you have to give absolutely nothing but credit to this Southampton team. They couldn't have been dealt a worse hand today. And the way they've responded with the injury to their captain and keeper, the fact they've only got one out-court player available on the bench, the fact they were quickly down, they've continued to fight. And to actually end the game, the stronger team in those circumstances deserves nothing but an awful lot of credit. And if they can take this into the relegation playoffs, which will be competitive,
yeah, completely.
That level of fight is something that will go a long way.
Oh, momentum not only during a game but during a season is massive. And 10 minutes ago they were down 5-0. If that had blown out, to, you know, if they had conceded another 3, that's finishing the season at 8-0. They've pegged 3 back. Now they're finishing the season down by 2. That's a different sort of momentum leading into the relegation playoff.
Yeah, it certainly is. And they'll have their work cut out. You heard earlier how it'll work. 2 teams of the 4 in the bottom 4 will drop into a tier apiece. A little round robin with the winner of the Tier 2 North and Tier 2 South. And, well, Southampton go into it in good shape. Massive credit to the Aztecs for the performance they've put in there. Worcester, though, do indeed get their win. And they were worthy winners. Let's not get it twisted. They created lots of chances and scored plenty of really, really good goals as well. Jade Grove there, player of the match, the Worcester captain, influential with a couple of goals herself. And now their job is done. They've won, and now they have to wait. A win for Bloomsbury or a draw may ensure that Worcester qualify for the playoffs. And they'll be sticking around to watch, I'm sure, that game up next. But before that, we'll have plenty of reaction. Full time from the University of Wolverhampton. It's Worcester 5, Southampton 3.